What was once considered a rare eye disease, keratoconus, now affects 1 in 500 people. This disease rapidly deteriorates one's vision and can eventually rob one of their eyesight. But there is new hope for keratoconus sufferers as cutting-edge treatments are saving people's eyesight. Joining us to discuss their hopes for a cure, we have John Ackerman, an attorney from Atlanta, Georgia. He suffers from the disease and has had multiple surgeries, including a cornea transplant, to stave off blindness. Dr. Brian Boxer Wachler, he's the director of the Boxer Wachler Vision Institute in Beverly Hills, California. And Jacob and Christine Seisel. They're in Ashland, Ohio. Christine is a mother of 4. She suffers from the disease and worries about following in the footsteps of some of her relatives and going blind because she cannot afford surgery. Welcome, everyone.
Pleasure.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know this is a very difficult journey for you. You've always had 20/20 vision until very recently. What made you realize that something wasn't quite right with your sight? Christine, you're actually muted. If you wouldn't mind looking up in the upper right-hand corner and unmuting yourself.
Okay, sorry. It actually happened when I was renewing my driver's license. The lady kept on asking me to tell her when I saw the blinking light, but I never saw the blinking light.
And this was very recently?
It was in 2011, so almost 2 years ago now.
So you're at the you're at the DMV. She says, look at the blinking light. You don't see the blinking light. What then?
I actually joked with her and told her that I thought her light bulb was burnt out. And then I looked up from the eye machine and saw her face and realized it wasn't a burnout light bulb. So after that, I decided to get into the eye doctor because I'm actually the only one in my family that doesn't wear any kind of eyeglasses or contacts. So I just figured, hereditary genes had finally caught up to me and, it was my turn to wear now. It was a little bit of a surprise once I got to the doctor's office, though.
And so you went to the doctor and you just think you're getting glasses. What then?
Then I find out that, as the doctor quite notably put it, you have something wrong with your eyes that I'm not sure what it is, but I can't help you. So then I went to a specialist to try and figure out what it was that was wrong and get a little bit more, information on what we could do. And that's when I was diagnosed with the keratoconus.
And Jacob, this must have been a very stressful time for your household.
Absolutely. It was a pretty big shock to me. It was pretty surreal for a while, but it definitely set in, and I'm pretty worried about it.
And as the years have gone on, has your vision gotten progressively worse?
I can definitely tell that it is. I call them good and bad eye days. Some days are better than others. Some days things aren't as blurry as other days. But it seems like I am getting more bad days than good days recently.
And you have here a blog. Here's your journey with the disease. Your name is Christy, and these are your children. What worries you the most about your future with this eye disease?
Well, obviously, the chance of not getting to see them do things in their life is scary. The fact that they might have it too, without knowing if it's hereditary or, what causes it, it's terrifying to me knowing that my kids might have it too. And, I gave it to them.
You have family members that have suffered from, well, you might not know if it's this disease, they've suffered from some type of eye ailment.
Yes. From what I understand from my mom's actually in contact with my dad's side. And I guess my either great-grandpa or great-great-grandpa was blind or had vision problems. And I guess a cousin then, too, that is still living has some kind of blindness. We're not sure. It sounds to me, when my mom was talking to me, it sounds like, keratoconus, just with some of the things that, he was suffering from and just kind of some of the symptoms.
Dr. Wachler, is this disease a hereditary disease, or is it totally random who ends up with this issue?
Great question. As it turns out, 95% of people who have keratoconus, it is without any family history at all. So 5% of the time, it actually does run in the families. So there's that genetic component, that hereditary component, in 5% of people who do have keratoconus.
One of the things that people are curious about, this used to be considered a rare disease with very few people diagnosed, and now it's suggested that a very large number of individuals are going to be diagnosed with this eye disease moving forward. Is this something that's on the rise?
It has definitely increased over the years. The traditional old statistic was it occurred in 1 in 2,000 people. Now, the new statistics is 1 in 500 people. So for reasons that are not necessarily clear to us, there's been a 400% increase in incidence of keratoconus. And that's why nowadays it's not uncommon for patients when they're here to say, you know, I told somebody at work I have it and they had it too, or they have a brother that has it. So there wasn't that, you know, connection that people would know other people or people's friends or family members who have it. But we do see that, you know, kind of increased incidence just among casual conversations that patients have with other people that they know in their life now.
John, I see you shaking your head because this is an issue that you've been dealing with for a large portion of your life. I've actually found you through your website. That's a very popular website for people trying to get information on this disease that a lot of people go to the doctor and end up like Christine. The doctor says, I don't know what this is, but I can't help you.
Now, that's basically what happened with me. I was diagnosed when I was in college, and the first thing I saw was at night driving, when there was a reflective sign, I'd see, instead of 1 yellow yield sign, I'd see 2 or 3. And the first doctor I went to was our local small town eye, ear, nose, and throat guy. And he said, well, you might have to learn to live with that. And fortunately, I ultimately got to an ophthalmologist who was able to diagnose it. And then I was able to wear contact lenses for, I guess, nearly 20 years and have the contact lenses correct the vision well enough. But like Christine, I went to go to have my driver's license renewed. And the only reason I was able to pass was because the examiner basically let me cheat a little bit. And I went from the driver's license office back to the doctor and said, it's time for the transplant now, when it had reached the point where, you know, the vision for driving was that marginal.
And so where did your journey take you? You were in a fortunate position to be a lawyer and to have excellent insurance, which in America lends one to have more options.
Yeah, I'm definitely very fortunate that I've had good health insurance and an employer. I work for a company. I'm not in private practice. So I have an employer who was accommodating and you know, has been flexible in letting me work when I've needed to, you know, to keep a different schedule. So I think I've just been very, very lucky in that respect. And I know a lot of people are not nearly that fortunate.
What are some of the things that you've tried since the contact lenses early in your disease?
Well, I basically wore the contacts, and Dr. Boxer may be able to put it more eloquently, but I was essentially told by my doctors that as long as we can get you decent vision contacts and they're comfortable enough, that's a workable solution. And we went through a number of things. I ended up wearing what are called piggyback lenses. So I wear a soft lens underneath with a hard lens on top. And the soft lens caused the comfort to go way up. And I was able to do very well with that until the vision just continued to deteriorate. And the transplants, I'm sorry, my screen just went blank. The transplants were just a huge difference. The thing that I remember most vividly was, for the first time in probably 15 years, I was able to see individual blades of grass and individual leaves on trees from a distance, because before it had just sort of been green. And the transplants really made a huge difference. I still have to wear contact lenses.
What's interesting, though, you were told that you couldn't get the corneal transplants until your vision had deteriorated to a certain degree. Is that normally what patients are told? I think you're frozen, John, but
that's
Doctor,
what I was told too.
Right, Christine, that's what you're told. You're kind of in this limbo situation. Tell us about that, because it's something that it's a rock and a hard place until recently.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was told. Is I was told that, I was just in the beginning stages, and that they basically would just watch me until it got so bad that, I was eligible for the corneal transplant or cornea transplant.
That's such a purgatory. You have 4 kids. You have a family. You want to be proactive about this issue. And doctor, this is a problem that a lot of people are being told when they go to their doctor. It's just a purgatory. They're told, well, can't do anything until it degenerates tremendously.
It's really terrible to see the insurance companies doing this with patients who they're supposed to be the advocate to help patients. And, overall, they do that job. But there are so many cases like this where they want to have an excuse to not cover procedures. And we can talk about other procedures as well as transplants for keratoconus that are even less invasive and even non-invasive in some cases. But by and large, they like to just put it off and not want to do that coverage because, at the end of the day, they collect the premiums from patients or from patients' employers, and they know very well how much money they can allocate to pay for various medical treatments for the people that are in their network that they're covering. And if they need to deny somebody or just put it off for even the most silly excuses like you filled out the wrong code even stuff that just doesn't make sense and boggles the mind, it's not uncommon to hear stories of them doing that just for that reason. And so it's at the end of the day for them, I think there are definitely cases where they're playing games with patients' health, and in this case with their eyes and their vision and their future. And it sort of breaks my heart that they're doing that type of stuff, but it does go on.
We have a comment here from Kringle. Modern medicine amazes me. It's advancing so fast. Meshes and genetics. And there's a procedure that Christine could have her sight saved at an earlier stage if it was something that the insurance company would support, as opposed to waiting for her vision to deteriorate to need a cornea transplant.
Right. And it's been actually over 10 years now since we developed and invented a procedure called Holcomb C3R, which is a non-invasive way to strengthen the cornea and stop the cornea from continuing to bulge out, because that's what keratoconus is. Just to explain that, keratoconus is a disease of the cornea, which is the window or windshield of the eye, where the collagen is weak, and as a result of that weakness, it starts to bulge out. And that bulging causes the distortions in vision, it causes the multiple images, glare and halos at night, and not uncommon for people to even stop driving at night. And all these other issues are because of the collagen being weak. So we developed, that's a great example there. So we developed a procedure that was revolutionary that could non-invasively strengthen the cornea without doing surgery and with a one-day recovery. And originally it was called C3R, standing for corneal collagen cross-linking with riboflavin. And then we renamed it Holcomb C3R because our patient, Stephen Holcomb, who's the Olympic bobsledder, had the same disease, keratoconus. And he had to retire from bobsledding because it had gotten so bad that he couldn't see anymore, and he didn't feel it was safe to be responsible for the 3 guys behind him in their lives.
Did the bobsledder get the surgery?
He did. He did have the procedure, and actually it's technically not a surgery, but he had the Holcomb C3R. And then he had another procedure where we implanted little lenses, implants, to help restore his vision. And then he had this incredible comeback with his vision and came out of retirement and started sledding again, and eventually ended up winning the first gold medal in bobsled in the Olympics in the 2010 Winter Olympics.
That's incredible.
And that's why we renamed the procedure. That's why we renamed the procedure for him, Holcomb C3R, to honor him, because he's been such an advocate for people with keratoconus to help spread the word about these less invasive means to help people.
And Christine, when you heard about this, I'm sure that you were very excited, but what happened when you tried to request the surgery?
Well, first I started gathering information, and then I found out the cost, and that was just kind of a big, I don't want to say deterrent, but a big hurdle that we would have to get over in order to, get the treatment. So we immediately started working on ways to fundraise and trying to spread awareness and, doing donations. I set up the Give Forward website and, just kind of spreading the word and talking to everybody and, letting them know that, there is an option for me, but it's not covered under insurance. And, we obviously need help.
And when you're talking about this, what do you tell people? What do you want people to know that are watching?
I just want people to know that there are other options out there other than waiting until the corneal transplant. Everything that I've read so far says the earlier that you can catch it and get it treated, the better. So, don't wait. Like, get out there, get proactive, and try and get your options and see your options.
John, I'm sure you can agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the things that are available from the medical field these days is just incredible. And many procedures that didn't exist when I was diagnosed. But Christine's absolutely right that the earlier you can get in there, you may be able to save the progression or at least start seeing better sooner instead of having to just live with it. And Christine, I sure hope that you're able to get the treatment as soon as possible, because I think it'll make a huge difference for you.
Well, many people hope this, and I'm showing your journey on the screen. Hopefully people will become more aware of this disease that is affecting more and more individuals. Thank you all for sharing your stories and expertise with us tonight.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. For more information on our guests, check out the resource well where you can donate to the cause. For more information on upcoming segments, check out our green rooms, because the conversation always continues here at HuffPost Live.